did the low-level attacks stop.
I think it was quite disgraceful interference by the Ministry of Defence in the tactics, not the policy, not the strategy of the war, the tactics of running that war.
Aging Buccaneer jets, the aircraft the tornado was meant to replace, rushed to the Gulf. They carried equipment to laser designate targets from higher altitudes.
Splash. Good. That was an excellent splash.
Soon they were working in tandem with tornadoes, dropping laser-guided bombs.
Bastard!
A week into the war, the air planners still believed by bombing Iraq they could deliver a decisive victory. Much of Iraq's air force had been destroyed on the ground. The coalition controlled the skies. It could bomb at will. Bridges, power plants, communications, all were destroyed. But Saddam did not withdraw from Kuwait. He was determined to sit the bombing out.
He would say, it's no problem. We can rebuild everything, even the morale of the people.
You could sense the angst and anxiety and unease throughout the American body politic. Gosh, it's been going on for a week. Why isn't it over? Maybe it's not going well. What are we trying to do? And we had not been sort of on stage to explain what we were trying to do. So I went up to see Secretary Cheney and said to the Secretary, we've got to do something because this is, we're starting to lose the public on this one.
Secretary Cheney and General Powell are here to...
The fear the American public might turn against the military, as they had over Vietnam, influenced Powell's thinking throughout the war.
And then General Powell...
Public relations was the war's second front.
As a measure of effectiveness of how we're doing in the air campaign, I just pull these two things out. I've laundered them so you can't really tell what I'm talking about because I don't want the Iraqis to know what I'm talking about. But trust me, trust me.
Officially, Saddam was not a target. But the Allies launched 260 missions against sites where they thought he might be hiding. Eventually, spies reported Saddam slept in private houses, changing location every night.
You can find out perhaps where he has been. You can find out even where he is. But what you need to know is where he's going to be because you must mount an attack. And so it's almost an impossible task.
You might find it strange, but the President of the Republic of Iraq was sometimes driven around the city in an old taxi. It's strange but true that Saddam also used a lorry to move around the city. These are some of the measures he resorted to.
The Air Force kept searching. These pictures prompted some of the more improbable missions of the war. Saddam was inside an American motorhome known as a Winnebago.
When we saw him sitting in a Winnebago, we went after the Winnebagos with a vengeance, and whenever we saw one or tried to find one, and whenever we saw one, or two or three, we would attack them as quickly as we possibly could.
Iraqi soldiers in Kuwait opened a pipeline, flooding the Gulf with oil. The aim was to destroy the desalination plants that provided Saudi Arabia with drinking water. Saddam wanted to provoke an early land war and inflict casualties to undermine Western resolve. The desalination plants continued to work, and a bombing raid cut the flow of oil. If the Iraqis wanted a ground war, they would have to attack. Saddam ordered his forces to move on the abandoned Saudi border town of Khafji.
وقال صدام أسروا لي اقبضوا لي
Saddam said, capture 4,000 or 5,000 American, British and French troops.
بريطاني فرنسي ونشدهم أي نضعهم
We'll use them as human shields.
الدبابات ونتقدم.
We'll tie them to our tanks and overrun the Saudi oil wells.
في هذا الحال لا تستطيع الطائرات الأمريكية.
If we do this, the Allied jets won't attack.
دباباتنا حفظا على أرواح جنود.
That evening, the U.S. Marines sent an unmanned spy plane on a routine flight over Iraqi positions in southern Kuwait. It beamed back television pictures to a truck at the launch site.
What do we have here? Holy crow. Let's see what they are. Man, this is something.
The Iraqi attack on Kafji had begun. The town was undefended. It had been evacuated on the first day of the war after the Iraqis shelled it. In the control vehicle, Marine helicopter pilots awaited orders to attack. But the orders never came.
We'd been on the landline back to our wing headquarters, letting them know what was going on. We started, you know, 1,000,001 scenarios began running through our minds on, you know, why in the world would they not be letting us launch on these vehicles?
Guess what? Closer, closer. And 2,253 hours. They've crossed the border. They've crossed in Saudi Arabia. King Fahd's going to be pissed. Fahd baby's going to be pissed. He's going to be hot.
For an hour and a half, the Marines watched the Iraqis advance. Back at the Air Force headquarters, the war had settled into a routine. That routine didn't include an Iraqi attack.
Where's our air? This is ridiculous. Frickin' bomber couldn't ask for any better target than that.
Why was the Iraqi advance not stopped prior to Kafji? A very straightforward, simple question deserves a very straightforward, simple answer. It was not the Air Force's best day.
The Iraqis occupied Kafji. They did not know U.S. Marines had hidden in the town. One of the 6-man reconnaissance teams was headed by Chuck Ingraham. Lawrence Lentz commanded the other.
I got the team together and I said, we've been practicing for some of us 5 years to play in the big game, and now here we all of a sudden get a chance. I think we ought to stay. And they agreed.
You're the only people there, yourself and another team of your buddies somewhere else in the city. And you know that that's it, a point of no return.
Armed missile on shoot downrange. Take that bad boy out.
Baghdad announced a great victory. But by dawn the next day, American artillery was in position. The Marines inside Kafji gave precise radio instructions telling the guns where to fire.
When I finally got artillery fire, it was the best feeling in the world. Everything we called in was what we call danger close, which simply means that it's so close that the round could actually hit us instead of the enemy.
At every moment, the Marines in the town expected to be discovered.
The Iraqis came very close to capturing us. They were inside of our building for at least a day. You could see their heads down there, and if you wanted to, you could spit on them.
2 days later, Saudi forces formed up to retake their town. The attack would cost them 19 dead. Perhaps 100 Iraqis died in the town. Meanwhile, airstrikes destroyed 2 Iraqi divisions desperately trying to reach Kafji. For months, Saddam had proclaimed fighting on the ground would bleed the coalition and undermine its resolve. But the attempt to reinforce Kafji was a bitter lesson in what air power could do to an army that surrendered control of the air.
كما قلت بأن حالات من التوتر والقلق.
Saddam became tense and anxious, although he tried to conceal it.
يحاول إخفاءها. كان في حركة
He was restless.
مستمرة. في المراحل الأولى لم.
It wasn't so much that he cared about the casualties, but they exasperated him.